Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Western Canon Challenge, where we are reading the entirety of the Western literary canon out loud. Well, today we are finishing the poems of Trumbull Stickney. These are his longest works, and that will complete our journey reading his poetry. It's a very short journey, especially in comparison with reading Emerson or Nietzsche. But I really enjoyed reading his poetry. I'm going to do a review on him and probably put him with a few other so-called minor poets and then review them after I've done a few more of similar poets. So with that said, I will go ahead and get started. Our first poem is called Kalypso. Then sang Kalypso yet another song, and it was waxen late, beyond her isle. Beyond the sea and world hung drearily a full moon. Quiet was, except the wind, lifting the water's murmur as a girl may lift the fold of some sad eastern silk. One cloud, a presage, loitered. All the air was marvelous and sorrowful, as of jasmine sea-touched and roses pale with spray. Of fading oleander, clematis, grown weary on the garden wall. Anon the cold salt wind did rise and scatter all odors, a little chill then quietude. So here did mix the land's breath and the sea's. And still she paused, her solemn lips, possessed by that shy thought that comes before a song, were silent, and she raised his languid arm. Clasping it all, she turned on him, then the earnest heaven of her desirous eyes drew him about her feet, against her knees, closer, and rested his hair one hand. The other alone, moving so musical that her low notes were not more song than it, described the region of the sinking moon, while soft and even a most unhappy strain, the modulation of an endless grief, flowed from her lips. Entirely she sang. She says, "Follow my steps and take my hand to where the shoreward sea falls colorless, and light is growing less, grows ever less, yet quencheth never, where the seas expand and shrink, where nothing altereth. I stand upon that melancholy marge of sand. The earth was made, yet then I was alone, walking the skiey meadows, nodding gold. I've seen her freshest garden turned old, and men grow mortal in her beds of stone. But I am still alone, and near the sun. Sometimes I think my heart is waxen cold, for having been so very long alone." Her voice was richer with the widening song. Light came and went, color reposed and fled about her face. There in the swarthy night she shone like opal, flickering weird flame and crossed with splendor. On his neck her hand quivered, he felt her blood throb. Languidly, through closing eyelids of the soul, he saw the world dissolve in rosiness. She sang, "Come, so long have I looked on thee, so long that my gold lids are heavy with desire. My arms for waiting here in heaven tire. My throat is tuneless with unceased song. Where nothing is, and day and night prolong each other in the sober twilight fire. Give me thy soul for having looked so long. I go below. Follow thou in my trace, and taste my solitude. There all the air becomes a lover feeling love so rare. The chilly wave walks nearer yet to share the rhythm and ecstasy of our embrace, and evening jealous of our flushed face goes out in sad retire and pale despair. And while upon that solitary sand the ripples burn away their fringe of light, and after me down the heavenly night unnumbered stars fall throbbing to the land, let all the glamour of my courses wane, possess thy soul in lingering delight. Let me in darkness feel thy failing hand." Over his head she stooped. Her odorous hair fell thickly o'er his face. She kissed him with all the sleepy honeys of her soul. Her arms did slip along his neck, his breast. She kissed him lazily upon the lids, and languorously on the brow. she kissed him trembling and fiery on the opened mouth. And slowly wind rose. Rustics crept to's ear. Through meshes of her hair he saw grey blown, the thick tumultuous cloud blotted and streaked with witchery of dead moon. The midnight word, sparsely the windy stars and feebly hung. A little withered leaf blew by. It scratched him with its frittered edge. For it was autumn. Autumn it was, then did he know. No more that year would he return, that year no more. Rather, locked by the vastly circular walls of the sea, the quashing roof of heaven, still suffocated in the changeless air, still vexed by incessant memory and recall, would stand in pain desirous of that dear fireside and her more dear and beautiful. O curse to exile! Horrid ire shook him. He started from her embrace, muttered, struggled. Then sudden came into dominion of his great self. He stood and said to her, "Thou art more masterful than death. The life that spurred me through the waters of the world was spent indeed, and claimed again, O love, upon thy soul's warm shore." And amorously she thought, he neared her, lifted her. They drew toward her dwelling. To herself she seemed queen over his love, and on the forward heaven of her retreating hope she lit the stars of happy hours, of happy days, the crown of long desire, and drank of his embrace a dear oblivion of sad doubt. The while he plotted to beguile this woman here, jailer of fate, to drug her love asleep, that ere his death, though waxen old, he'd see were't but the smoke of tree-clad Ithaca. Hold still, my brain, my temples burst. Hold still, my brain, my temples burst. Shall e'er this marble burgeon with her? I can see an Aphrodite poised, a falling fold about her loins, and nothing more but sky, sky, sun, light, air, and rolling spheres, and men. Where is my chisel? Paros is an isle, does make earth more magnificent than aught of conquest. I believe it's the old heart of world and universe, where the quarry slave, ambitious he should find below, far, far below, motion, life, and a regency so splendid as would shrivel him to ash. The splinters shine like gold. Away, away, somewhere within here she, Apollo, help! That I may bid her rise, and mix with stone, my friend with the never-opened eye, the holy oval face, the rich long neck, and serious body, and, oh, the arms, my lips grow dull with kissing of her arms. Dull, yes, and sad. She shall be here eternally, while I make her eternal. I shall bid her come, sit near and say things in her golden Greek, and singing freshen some old mythos with warm melody. I'll call her. No, not yet. Not yet. Despair's enough without herself to make my heart at such comparison break. Memory first shall guide my hand. Memory made fresher by herself. Some eve will mix our water and wine. We'll chaplets weave of ivy, sail for Athens, and in spring hear the great plays, and drink at festivals, and run to some wild cry, some terrible sharp song, away, away. The spotted skin slips through the starlight, Thyris at her throat, lengthened, and head thrown wildly back to see, more rich the winy heaven dissolve and run. Where is she? Friend, friend, look, my love, upon me and my marble. A snow more white ne'er fell, and with the influence and love of years we'll build an outline, thou and I, or thou, rather, that verily my lips and breast will shudder but believe. Ah, come away. We'll go and hear the music of the sea, and pity the old singer, watch the moon, sad harmonist on the unresponsive earth. Feel the far stars, yet hear and watch and feel nothing but thee, thou jewel of my soul. Oneiropolis. Come, Saki, here within this edge of shade, we'll stand against the house wall, shadow-cooled. There no one left at noon in the agora, to quib their fortune of my dozen birds. The town, the world, these poor Athenians think, goes home in half asleep. Their prattling stops, and burned by sunlight through the stifling hours, temple and house, statue and wall and road glow as hot copper. But here shadow dwells, and here by the sun-stricken afternoon I stand leaning my head and close my eyes. A red light swims my brain awhile, then goes. And unto memory I surrender me of all my master Brihadashua said, my blessed master, pure and charitable, who dwelt in Kashi by the holy stream. Happy indeed was I, happy to count a wizard in my kindred such as he, whose lips were wholly dedicate to truth, whose hand dispensed serene and wonderful peace to the spirit as a tree his shade. To him, as one who rushes head aflame, kindled and dry with fever toward shore, I went, and most divinely pitiful he taught me wisdom. To his voice I turned, as turns a lotus to the rosy dawn. Filling with light, gathering treasure thence to keep within its heart all the day long. Sometime he spake, and all were blessed. Sometime silent we sat within, the pale and help of all his thought. Continually did fall the pleasant dew of patience from his eye, which, looking ever beyond world and star, was large as upper heaven. They were the days when I had laid the world to rest within me, and though with childish lips did after him say as in dream the holy syllables. He died, rather I heard him never more. His final earthly errand, whilst his mind, quitting our vain and pitiable scene, dissolved, he gave me in trust. I quit the shore of holy Ganga's healing water wave. Long travelled, breathed the many airs, reviewed forests of sandal where the spring wind blew, and tender-petaled lily beds, where'er the grey crane spanned his gracious level flight. Westward I followed, following every day and quest of that he bade me. At last I beheld Sindus, and my errands done. Here, Saki, yet a while my destiny. The burning season shone. I stayed too late. The people's rumor told of a great host, Yavanas named, from the utter unknown lands, generaled by a god and more innumerable than drops in rainy season, giants all, that trampled about the edges of the world and rose like a live night of the crying birds across the throe-high heaven, then fell to earth. What needs the many words? The Greeks were on. One midday hour the world did leap apart, and thence a thirsty multitude in riot, with women, gold, flocks, armor, camels, coins, maddened with hunger for another world, each vagabond upon his empty heart, an empire's jewel scattering the light. They sacked the land, then weary sat them down, and with a million mouths and voices cried, they'd walk the wide and feeble earth no more. So spake the children, and the world obeyed. Oceanward, between the patient Sindus shores, the locusts moved, leaving a piteous land, with goods and gold and men, whereof was I. Over a milky ocean torn with flame and faced with greenish current, long a shore, crusted with yellow sand, beneath a sky of endless sun, they lived and sailed and died. Then for a little year the millions tramped through deserts flat as sea and gray as cloud, till they saw finally a shore, and ships bore them twixt isle and isle after the sun. Into the port yonder Piraeus called to rest. 'Twas home, they said, and all men wept. I found their painted fanes and naked gods, and all these children babbling in the sun. First did I hunger, knowing no trick or trade, knowing nothing that sold brings money in. I talked not, nor could understand at all this Grecian race of laughter, pleasure, song. Pity, nor giving alms, nor anything that makes the spirit pure is here. They live and suffer the forgetfulness of life. This is my tale. One night I walked abroad, ere dawn a dreary hour, the market-place more dark than any jungle. Cold it was. I walked, when 5 cold fingers touched my arm, beside a Phrygian slave. Often I'd seen him and his fortune table's dozen birds, Oneiropolis called Seller of Dreams. He looked me in the eyes and took my arm and led me here. Awhile rehearsed his tricks, teased with his forefinger a bird-soft throat, which leapt on, pecked, and picked one single card. So did the Phrygian 7 times, and went. Over Acropolis was golden dawn. Their naked gods all bloomed with light. The dark and violet veils dissolved down the steep heaven, and I stood here selling to Athens dreams. A dying town filled of a feeble race, small gossips of their all-expressing tongue, dancers and frolickers, philosophers drunken and sense-tied to the trembling world. Hither from 50 climes men come and come, women and children come to see. 'Tis strange. This city of the old and marble things. 'Twas miracle, they say, what sights were seen here, Saki, 1 great 100 years agone, for they count time upon their nervous hand. Galleys and chariots, beauty, victory, gold, and gods they had, whose fair procession walked with maidens, cattle, priests, and horse, whereof, up in the shadows of the fane, yonder is marble picture by a studied hand. So at their pretty game the children played, building and singing on, but all is gone. 'Tis vision, tale of poets, memory, nothing. Now there is void, shadow, blown by wind, and the unstoried year is rolled away. Here in the dying town I sell them dreams. Here where the Phrygian stood, at evening I knock at yonder gate in the high wall, and enter. Courteously a gentleman leads me within, to shade. Upon his lips their chattering Greek is low and lovelier. I sit me down. My supper bowl of rice he gives, saying, "My friend, rejoice in peace." Down through his olive orchard, shadowy and still and secret as the things of Ind, the lily-like soft evening gathers dark. Blessed is his pious deed, for many hear the spoken solace of his quietude. To him what little coin I gather here, not in exchange or manner of the West, I bring, for Epicurus aids the poor. Peace, thy words are many. Now peace to thee, for yonder comes as ever at this time, Phryne, the rose and glory of their world. Her veil is wove of sunrise, and her face the white moon set between 2 clouds of black. Her eyes a firefly, and her voice a viol. She walks as when a bird follows the sea. Here daily falls her piece of gold. She's rich and timid as the shining meteor, and hovers moth-like round her destiny, for all her wings and beauty are for sale. Lodovico Martelli. O Gotti, ope the casement, open wide, and prop my pillow. But the window square of light, of sky, those skies of Sicily, are not Firenzes. Ah, Firenze mine! Darkly I feel how wastings all my life, and dulls my brain, death's guessing at my name. But utter strange it is to die. The word life to my ear rings mournful rich, and stings the sleepy nerve of longing. This is pain. To stifle far from home, the heart is suppressed by a handful of such years as other men make not of. Mercy of God, what mother e'er fashioned a heart so brittle, a head and brain whereof the tissues crack with fever? Why live? To have tasted life? And die of it? 'Twas little more, the silly, silly tears. But Gotti, look, my head, my arm! Indeed, think you that I revive? Meseemeth now the spring should soften Fiesole to flower, and Coley meadows show to every wind new petals of anemone. How oft upon the hillside have we heard the melancholy ritornello? Ah, what springs were they? Tell me if ever, since the night was moonful, or a woman's eye tearfully asked a softer question. How waved the paling heaven's embroidery? What yonder woke the odored bloom of earth? What music had the tongue of Tuscany? What rhymes? How large a burial is the past? And thence away to Rome, to sovereign Rome. What were the sickly earth without its Rome, its gorgeous city where the revels are, dice and cards and the old ecstatic wine that glints dark ruby, and superbly eyed the rich and unimpassioned courtesans, and Leo, Pope. Yes, listen. One great once I saw the heavenly householder, but far from's home. Come nearer, God he hissed. Ye know the Morosina who has Italia's hair, whose eye is somewhat strangely more than blue, who laughs like beech leaves ringing in the light, her kisses indolent as a warm rain. I dream. The Pope, said I. 'Twas winter night. The wind fell edged and pointed down the lane, beneath the casement many have looked to, where stood I, whistling a feverish tune. And straight 'twas oped. I entered. All about mine ear I heard, my Lodovico. Such a sound became the long and melancholy name. I drew my mask, and darkly there I saw nothing, but felt and breathed veriest heaven. About our kiss did move her tender hair, her breast to mine, her living arms, her brow. The memory aches me that it is so dead. She led me with a touch like melody, that being fore'er more forward in the air still guides. The cold and arched corridor we traversed, I a dreamer sunsetwards, and she the moving beauty of the day. We climbed the stair, a sick moon-gazer, I beneath her white and spirit-winged moon, till in her chamber with our eyes we lit the owlish gloom about her tapestry. Upon his horse the hunter moved asleep, and every falcon turned owl. Alone the cresset flickered on the fragrant oil, shedding an old small light, and she and I, we sung the night with kisses low a dream. She said the wonder things in olden words. She made a music languorous as time and rich as summer, whilst her endless hair seemed Aphrodite's or the shallow wave, thin spread at midday. Odor never rose sweet as her breasts, and musically she did oft turn her golden head away, that gazing I might weave and weave my soul into a necklace stringed of sleepy pearl, without a clasp. But then befell the thing. Methought I heard indeed a door, noising, and near. I threw her aside. By Christ, a snare! Now bless me, where's my sword, my mask? I love thy soul, she sang. Is it Bembo? No. The whorish trade, her shaking hand she put in mine. The step grew living near. I drew. Then most superbly on the threshold poised, an all-black cavalier, save in the mask, to fires. By Venus, quoth, a lady's here that loves too widely to love well. Good sir, suppose a sword's enough for courtesy. He drew a wonder of Toledo blade that rang like music. Masterly we fenced and plied our gallant art Italian, till on a sudden her most delirious form rushed with cry betwixt us, but she fell half-sensed. We moved. Then with an elfish pass I pierced his hand. The weapon fell to the ground, and he was flying, but next about his waist her tender arms imploring pardon clung. He struggled, stumbled, fell, the mask removed. By Jesu God in heaven! Verily, I then saw great Leo's face, the Pope's of Rome. I shuddered as a reed, my brain rocked, all withered together, crumbling in my soul. I fled, yet with a backward look to see the mistress of the gods make of her hair, her golden hair, a pontiff's chasuble. Dost thou believe I'm dying of darkish things, of poison? Ah, my heart's a crust of ash, and glowing chains are piled about my head. Raving? Not I. Give me no drugs. The world I charioted have left in the dust behind. For I was poet. They said, a soft poet who stole Petrarca's melodies and spoiled his robbery. Soft in verse I was, a master had I like, forsooth, the rest. But nothing timeless said. Full well I note the shaft is on my heart's bow, poised, unloosed. While Raphael delves a ceiling into skies, peopling his colored thought, and Agnolo makes the fresh quarried adamant to sweat ferocious agony, or in peace reclined, to look long looks abroad the shifting world. I? Why, I'd sing for them. I, Lodovico Martelli. I would send my songs full sailed over the waves and waters of the years. Let them be painter, sculptor, poet, I, for your unquiet thoughts, the horrid strong, I have them. Writ? Not yet, but here's my heart, feel it, so tramped the innumerable host when Rome was burned. And very vast a tale were half its history. Often I have stood on hills high up by sorry coasts, alone passing my vision angrily. I thought to have plucked the yellow comets by their hair, to have braided meteors, and from hind the moon robbed her society of chanting tides. I'd stand, my back to the seaward cliffs, at bay and fight the wave, completed earth's a leaf turning in space along with the other dust that blinds the eye of God. Away, away! Can't see the waters from the window? Help, help, sir, I've clomb Vesuvius of old, tasting its breath, 'twas half so steep. Behold, yon rolls in wide and worldly rhythm the sea, greatest and eldest poet. Yonder chants the epic wave in rich monotony. Mine eye seems big as heaven, and far abroad from even's distaff floats the purple wool. Wet-eyed she sits. The light, for love of her, becomes a moon, but to behold her die. The moon, Firenze, is Firenze near? Methinks 'twere half a journey. Ah, but were we there, how fresh her lip is graven on my heart. I see her palely. But tell me, who knows, is she not waxen, like me, somewhat old? For something long has happened, all's ago. I was ages ago, and in the world we were together young. Say, am I dead, that I'm so far? Perhaps shall I return, bid Laura wait for April. I return, I that so endless loved her, love her. Say, within the colour-cupped anemones lieth his heart, and all the leaves are he. The gentle ecstasy of earth, the wind that lifts so happily, thy hair is he, and he the spring that holds thee all about. O Gaddy, I shall not return. My mood is his who sits upon a farther shore, waiting and sick. It's night and strangely cold. To bed, 'tis bitter cold. My very breast quivers. Hold me, good Gaddy, or I shake to death. My body's dry. Christ, what a world! Water, good soul, water. Hold thou the cup. Eride. Dull words that swim upon the page through filmy tears of joy and pain. Poor silly words, my only gauge, mere words recurrent as refrain. Ye prove me language less than naught, and all the loss of utterance. Ye give me scraps of withered thought, and sounds that meet as by a chance. If I should find ye once again, if you should come again to me, dull words about my joy and pain, mere words, what would ye signify? 1. Love, I marvel what you are. Heaven in a pearl of dew, lilies hearted with a star, all are you. Spring along your forehead shines, and the summer blooms your breast. Graces of autumnal vines round you rest. Birds about a limpid rose, making song and light of wing, while the swarm wind sunny blows, so you sing. Darling, if the little dust that I know is merely I have availed to win your trust, let me die. Brown eyes, I say, yet say I blue. I think her mouth is a melody, her bosom a petal sunned and new, her hand is a passing sigh. Blue eyes, I say, yet somehow brown, her mouth is the verge of all repose, her breast a smoothed out viol tone, her hand is an early rose. Be her eyes blue or brown indeed, be color or music what she is, I nothing know, but my life's whole need is the fancy of her kiss. Clouds through the heaven flit Aprilward, there the bud of a violet on the sword. Branch and breeze sympathize ere they play, I know that it's spring today by your eyes. How shall I hold you fast now you are here? A tremor and you have passed, and this year only of all is ours, only is mine. I see in your blue eyes shine all the year's flowers. Hereafter I'll call you spring, little girl, and christen each clustering delicate curl some lovely meadow's name in the south, where they say that music and youth stay the same. I held these tulips first, before bringing you them. I passed the love I bear you o'er flower and stem, and I would leave them at your door. If at your heart's door they might stand, keeping a while the world behind their petals and crimson smile, like seas hid by a meadowland. A trill of leaves is in the wold, I feel the wings of summer pass, and sunlight in big drops of gold falls on the seedy feathered grass. Some tiny cuckoo never seen blows his echo mild as mist, a deer there stirring in the green, a squirrel where the branches kissed. Far through his sweep of aspen boughs and birches whitening towered the crest, reclines like river grass and flows along the summer to the west. Farther away till last of all, in milky hazes lying furled, is nothing more, 'tis we recall infinity back to the world. In the bow window that looks out over the sunset-colored bay, we sat one evening wondering and in doubt. The water plashing on the quay roused the warm air, and half awake, one hill we knew was changing golden gray. We strained our sight upon the lake, we dared not anything to say, for fear your heart and mine might happily break. Our tired eyes soon filled with tears, and we said nothing, but your hand was like a heart that understands and hears. We missed the sunset, love, tonight, the sunset on the sea that sings, folding about its heart of light the large and melancholy wings. A snowy gull may have moved along the rose and gray and violet bands, serene as thought and pure as song, beyond our line of open sands. A moonbeam on the fisher net, a sail that lay upon the sea, a rim of pebbles darkly wet, it all was not for you and me. A sunset lost, a life foregone, beauty that asked our heart and died. What said we? Did we match the sun with aught of heart, my love, my bride? One look you gave was twice a sky. I kissed your hand, you said a word, that greater is for melody than all the tides a coastland heard. One sunset lost, one look the more, the night is quieting the foam. Hear you? Come, says the endless shore, and all the waves and murmur, come. He rests upon her knee his tired head, his eye long wearied sleeps, and she, whose perfect love has nothing said, her hand upon his forehead keeps. Through darkening windows below the ancient spring, a planet trembles, kind. Her large wet eyes are vastly wondering, her happy love resembles wind. The breeze above her finger stirs his hair, and her breath rises, falls, so their unfolding presence through the air, in soft and low surprises calls. He touches her in dream and follows her, for nearness of her fails. And the spring night of green and gossamer around beloved and lover pales. 2. I hear you singing in my breast. I hear you chanting in my mind. Is it the wind? I feel your form upon my eyes. I feel your fingers press my sight. Is it the night? I hear the little noise of feet, and footsteps come and come again. Is it the rain? And all alone with memory, my brain grows anxious for the day. You're long away. Will you look down once more, just once? Down to the ground and keep your veil drawn o'er your half-guessed countenance, and smile so frail? Thank you, for I have had a friend whose image came most vividly upon my soul when with that bend you looked from me. Gone? Yes, you cannot think how far, beyond the uttermost of thought, she's grown as far things do, a star in heaven's hand caught. But stars, you know, are very cold, and always white. They never bless, just you in the night's great fold grow vague and less. And so it's sweet to feel sometimes a color, gesture, sound, a turn, that makes the heart grow dull with rhymes, and the soul's lips burn. Yes, sometimes fast about my heart, something troubles me that I knew. I find a stranger made me start, as now did you. So pray don't think me rude, that face, for the mere memory I would die. You've warmed my life with her grace. Good night, goodbye. If you should lightly, as I've known you come, and find me of an evening crying here, at open windows of a changing home, while beyond garden, houses, tree, and dome, fades out the day and year. If you should gently touch my shoulder, and turning I'd see with a sweet surprise, you there, above me and about me, stand, while the warm sunset passed a lucid hand over your face and eyes. If then you softly, as I've heard you said, that all was well, I know not what or why, but just for words' sake told me, while your head moved round, you passed away, and in your stead an autumn night came by. Still would the happiness of having stood with one so nearly you, though gone so soon, bring to my solitude a little good, as one who's gladdened in a midnight wood for having seen the moon. Sometimes you seem so far away, the very noise of thinking lulls, and on my vision color dulls, to vapor with sick wings of gray. I wander out of time and mind, the sense of my own life is lost. One thought goes touching like a ghost, that found yet knows not where to find. And all I know is just the jar of chime that trembles in my ear, and all I ask is if the year is never tired as others are. You charm a window in the south, your brow seen by the golden star, and through warm dreams the gentle war of thought lures laughter to your mouth. The wind lulls in the olive grove, and all becomes a vaporous sigh, low preludes to your ecstasy, who love too much to think of love. October is in midnight swooned, with just a vague gray blot for moon, and like a scum the rotting brown of dead leaves drifts along the ground. While I sit waiting for a time, I know not how, and marvel forth upon the vastness of the north, till marvel mellows into rhyme. I heard a dead leaf run, it crossed my way, for dark I could not see, it rattled crisp and thin with frost, out to the lea. My steps I hastened, I was lost for all the grief that came to me. For now and ever through the host of sounds that blow from shrub and tree, a little echo sharply tossed, the footstep chills me of her ghost, and knowing not, I weep most drearily. 3. There's just a bit of twilight yet, a glossy gray that floats the sea from yonder where the daylight set, to me. All else is violet growing dark, southward a sorrow breaks the sky, the tide and languor of its mark is high. And old night thickens on the strand, there is no motion but the waves, along the leagues of listening sand, that raves. And nothing now, the lighthouse lit, if ships there be, they're far from coast, all safe, but something infinite is lost. One spot where every day declines in last red clay from the circle poised on a hill of pines. One knoll wherein elms twist branches play with air elate, and below our bench of a battered gray. In summer 'twas bright when the sun sets late, too late for regret, and the winds lie down somewhere to wait. While daylight goes and gray streaks fret the heavens' blues, and round the mid-sky night's arms are met. But we went today, and the long sinews of our elm were lame, with the wind that ran in the day's lost clues. Early the sun set, vague and tame, through gathering mists. The rain fell chiding us why we came. A drizzle fills the autumn day, the sun will never here come back, and weeds and foliage and decay lie draggled in the cartwheel's track. From blackened woods along the plain a vapor passes out, a sound of boughs grown weak through nights of rain that sink and shatter on the ground. The meadow turf is all a swamp, there's nothing left of summer. Come, the air turns dark and deadly damp, come, for it's very far to home. The year for you and me is nearly done. The leaves there, 2 or 3, are brown. Not a bird sings. It is time to think of other things. Your secret was my hope, your deeper name, and you perhaps did ope the same. Only the word for being spoke, yet was not heard. And as a leaf that knows it cannot meet another leaf that grows, so sweet hearing it call, springs in the autumn wind to fall. So did I, hoping doubt, till thro' the dark falling away went out the spark, ever to be a gone star down below the sea. Not that, if you had known it all, you would have done what you now do. God knows no blame shall ever fall of mine on you. I only marvel that it all be true. They say that love's a mustard seed upon the acres of the heart. It spreads from one part like a weed to another part. Yet spring is single, and the days depart. I know not why, but so it is, that pain is such a simple thing. Here to your hand I bring my kiss, and yet nothing can tell you nearly what it is I bring. And why? It's hard to cipher fates, and distances as yours from me. Not science even separates so fixedly, and then we tantalize our destiny. Yes, marvel how the chances cross and weave these spider webs of wire. Men live who say there's gain and loss, and yet desire revives like ferns on a November fire. It comes to only a memory. We have too many memories, and somehow I believe we die of things like these, loving what is not, might not be, nor is. Like a pearl dropped in a red dark wine, your pale face sank within my heart, not to be mine, yet always mine. Your eyes, like flowers from apart, their frail and shaded gates of dream, looked all a meadow's light astart. With sunrise and your smile did seem, as when below a leading rain, the water drops with sunset gleam. I thought my vision was not in vain. I felt my cramped heart stir and move, which now was pressed with little pain. I dreamed the dream one wonders of, your face of pearl, so pale and wise. I saw and murmured, life is love. The dust of folly filled my eyes. I sang and opened in your name, crocuses yellow with moonrise. I played with shadows at their game. The meadow thought my song was wind. I called the sunrise up, it came. Sweet sun-warmed grasses did I bind, in fancies of your hair, my song was you, and you were all my mind. The charm, the splendor, and the wrong will drive you through the earth to try of you and pleasure which is strong. While I remember, cry on cry, my autumn's gone, a horrid blast blows out my sunset from the sky. Nothing is left and all is past. Rain settles like a quiet air, and as a pearl and red wine cast glows like a drop of moonlight there, your face possesses my despair. Receive my love, I ask no more. Receive, I have no more to give. The heart and spirit of me bore all of this little gift. Receive. I fancied as in dream I passed, my arms afraid with care, and strove about you, to have gleaned at last some late and stilly wished for love. No more the wild flames that leap out of a moment down our years, to smolder in endangering sleep, to glitter under tender years. But something dear and gradual within your slowly opening soul, your nearly love, your nearly all, which comes with years to be the very whole. You would give otherwise and more, give much more and forget you gave, as overseas in summer pour the wide blue swinging breadths of wave. Yes, and your vision of desire is richer than the sunrise, and profounder than the sea and higher than the last light these heavens command. You suffer thirst, and waiting brood impatiently one day to strain from out this life of mood and food the stuffs of ecstasy and pain, till squandering in royal waste the passion of your youth upon some pitiable heart you taste the wines and fever of oblivion. I know your dream is mine that was, and quickly far within your eyes all of my life began to pass and wander out in seas and skies. But you, whom all my life adored, while I go following in your way, cannot so much as speak the word, for there be lies no tongue can say. How strange it is, the point we lack, just to possess the spirit's own, and failing this to tremble back, among unfinished things alone. Pass by, dear heart, and take from me this charm for which a diver dove, of old down the unruined sea, and taking mine, give to another thy love. 4. No, no, 'tis very much too late. I thought it mockery that you said you loved me, but a certain fate lowers your voice and bows your head. I tell you, you desire to wake the dead. 'Tis pitiful so to drag out the sorry quarrel in our souls, till even the blood suspends in doubt, and each full impulse backward rolls. Meantime the hour regardless passing tolls. Yes, think how year on year is gone. You went your way and hummed your dreams of passion and oblivion, in lands where terrible sunbeams shiver upon the leaping arch of streams. Your heart was violent, and you stretched tiptoe after the stars your hand. 'Twas but a willow bough you fetched, the argosies of your command, returned, saying beyond there was no land. You cursed the woman's life for lame. To do, you cried, and laboring, like men bring in the distant aim. What was this aim you need must bring, your one, your altogether desired thing? You knew not, doubting day by day, like yours how many lives are lived, and how seldom all is given away, how little of every gift received, how the heart most of all is least believed. When at your going my grief was new, and the long future all to waste, I said farewell to more than you. I wandered up into the past, and wandering have imagined peace at last. Still, perhaps under leaves that lie, you'd feel the roots of sorrow end, here in my bosom dyingly. Mere threads they are, too frail to tend. I've done with my own living, O my friend. For what were gained if I were yours? Fever and frenzy of the blood, the pleasure which no surfeit cures, endless desire, hunger, feud, and, at the end of passion, solitude. You know how, borne by a small heart, Lee, while out in the sad dark it snows, and 'tis for months an unseen earth, the soul as by remembrance goes, after the warm vineyard and burning rose, to live long years by stream and hill, within the southern light with men, who speak delicious language, till the pain of being alien urges on elsewhere, yet no home again. So are our lives. I love you more, but other hearts by destiny must needs possess what they adore, and have it to live with and to die, to strangle or soothe with kisses, not so I. By silences within a dream and bird songs of a spring sunrise, to the onward measure of a stream nearer the sea where quiet is. I love you more, much more, but otherwise. If I have wronged you in the days bygone but unforgotten now, I make no pleading for your grace. My tongue is bitter. Leave me, go. You have no pity, none. You live impatient and unreconciled. Nay, were you a mother, I believe you never could well love your child. You've cracked the sense of life and death with passions in you that despise the thing you love and choke its breath till uncriminated dies. It dies to you, and nothing then, nor art, nor hope, nor force, nor spell can worry back the lost again. Lost, lost and irrecoverable. And then, God knows, some things there be, where never pardon yet was known. What words have leapt from you to me? Enough, henceforward I'm my own. Yes, men are selfish, tell me, you who pluck my thoughts for flying fast. Ask all the years to be and rue the unalterably separate past. What is this that is generous? Can just a word we used to know in childhood, commonly to us, have grown a vulgar riddle so? Sometimes I think we never met, such immense walls of iron and ice between us infinitely set, spring blind into the spirit skies. Sometimes I think we never met. 'T had surely better been, to spare this nervous wringing of regret, this hope that tightens to despair. We have not understood for all we deeply lived and clearly said, and without knowledge love must fall, like this of ours that lying dead. Clamors for burial, it is time. It was time in much earlier days, before we soiled our lips with crime, that you and I went our two ways. 5. Now in the palace gardens warm with age, on lawn and flower bed this afternoon, the thin November-colored foliage, just as last year unfastens lilting down. And round the terrace in grey attitude, the very statues are becoming sere, with long presentiment of solitude. Most of the life that I have lived is here. Here by the path, in autumn's earthy grass, and chestnuts standing down the breadths of sky. Indeed, I know not how it came to pass, the life I lived here so unhappily. Yet blessing over all, I do not care what wormwood I have ate to cups of gall. I care not what despairs are buried there, under the ground. No, I care not at all. Nay, if the heart have beaten, let it break. I have not loved and lived, but only this, betwixt my birth and grave. Dear spirit, take the gratitude that pains, so deep it is. When spring shall begin again, and at your door you stand to feel the mellower evening wind, remember if you will my heart is pure, perfectly pure and altogether kind. That not an aftercry of all our strife troubles the love I give you and the faith. Say to yourself that at the ends of life my arms are open to you, life and death. How much it aches to linger in these things. I thought the perfect end of love was peace over the long forgiven sufferings, but something else, I know not what it is. The words that came so nearly and then not, the vanity, the error of the whole, the strong cross-purpose, oh, I know not what, cries dreadfully in the distracted soul. The evening fills the garden, hardly red, and autumn goes away like one alone. Where I were with the leaves that thread by thread soften to soil, I would that I were one. This is the end of the poems of Trumbull Stickney. Thank you for listening.